What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of In the Wild. I am still enjoying everything happening in January, but just to kind of give you guys a little recap of just what's been going on with life, I finished my first semester teaching podcasting, which was great. I had a great group of students. I hope you can listen to all of their podcasts because they should be available on the respective podcasting platforms, but we'll talk about that later because at another time, another episode for a different day. But just to let you guys know, there's more that you can listen to if you enjoy these episodes outside of just university stuff. But today we have a really good treat, sweet treat. I don't know how I want to phrase it yet, but it's going to be a great episode because we're talking all about community engagement. Because if you didn't already know, that's just one of the pillars of the university, whether it's our core values, which are tied up in collegiality and compassion, or just I want to feel like part of our identity as Jaguars is to just really be involved in the community. And so we have some really great folks to talk about all the ways you can get involved. So whether you're a student, faculty, staff member, or just someone looking to help out the Augusta University community, the Augusta community, we got some folks for you. So first up, we have Amanda Richardson and Vanessa White, who work in community engagement for the university. Really cool folks. Amanda is actually a new JAG, so I'm excited to talk to her a little bit and learn a little bit more about her. And then second, we have a student joining us, Madden Jones, who is a really awesome student who's been involved in a bunch of different things. And one of the coolest things is that he is starting up a student organization all about service and particularly helping serve our unhoused community here in Augusta. So yeah, we're gonna talk about it all. So I hope you're ready because here we go. Amanda, Vanessa, thank you so much for being here on In the Wild. This is your first time on the show, so yes. welcome. And to get us started, do you mind telling us a little bit about your background and the role that you kind of currently serve for the university?
Sure. I'm Amanda Richardson. I'm Community Engagement Manager here at Augusta University. I've been in this role for about 3 months. Prior to that, I was in philanthropy, but I've kind of taken my experience with community partners and community engagement and have used it in this current role.
I am on year 14 here. I definitely started with the medical center and then with the merger. I've always been in volunteer services, community engagement, and now we know it's just community engagement. So have experience with volunteer management, but then also partnering with our community partners as well.
Nice. So thank you so much again for being here. Amanda, for you, just to get started, since you're still relatively new to the role, what has excited you the most about working in community engagement at AU?
Great question. I think what has excited me the most about working in community engagement is really just continuing to develop and foster really strong relationships with community partners and also identifying opportunities to help serve their mission for students and just kind of learning higher ed. That's what I've enjoyed about this position so far.
For me in my volunteer role, I always say that my favorite thing is actually seeing the light bulb go off. And that may come from, some of the programs that I had when we were in the medical center and then transitioning and doing some student programming as well, where we get to see the students volunteer. So sometimes we're in a situation where they do it because they have to check it off. It's like something I have to do. But when they're actually out there and working, you can see them make the connection of their effort and community and impact. And so the way that the students arrive in comparison to how they leave on some of the service activities that we do, that's what I really enjoy about it.
Is there a specific moment that comes to mind when you think about that light bulb going off with students and seeing them leave better than they arrived?
I think it happens a lot, and I think it mainly happens when they actually get to interact and see the comfort and the joy that they're able to bring the person that's receiving the service or the support. It's one thing to go in and it's all valuable, but it's one thing to go in and maybe organize a pantry or sort an item. It's something else to take an item and be able to hand it to an individual, and that's like, oh, okay, yes, I get it. Or maybe someone to come in looking for something or engaging with an individual that they see every week, and then you'll see them go, okay, right? This isn't a one-off for these individuals. This is something that they need to survive or to give them a leg up for that next position in life. And so those are always my favorite moments.
I love that. And since you've been with the university for a few years, how has community engagement evolved over the years?
Community engagement is growing into the understanding of being reciprocal, a true partnership. I think before when you said community engagement, we're thinking more volunteerism. The check mark. I do because you say I have to. And it is starting to evolve into something that I want to do. I enjoyed that service, and I'm definitely going to sign up to do it again or find another organization that could use my service as well.
So the university emphasizes that we are an experience like no other. So I've been asking folks who've been on the show to answer how is their area, and so for you guys, how is community engagement like no other?
Well, I think community engagement is like no other because, I mean, really, like Vanessa said, I mean, these students are going out and just taking on real life experiences and hands-on experiences and working with people in the community. And to me, that experience itself is like no other. So, for instance, last week we went out to Gap Ministries and we took students out there to volunteer, and they got to work with these clients that come there every day. And they, there's a lot of misconceptions about the people that use those services. And I think they were able to put like a real life and a name to the faces of the people coming in there. And to me, that hands-on experience, and then in a lot of cases, these service opportunities are able to be connected back to the classroom, whether it's through research or different projects that they're doing, and having some sort of reflection afterward. I think that adds to that experience like no other.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think Amanda covered it. We are definitely like no other because we are an extension, and it's something that the entire campus provides and promotes. So we're unique because we like a bridge for that, a support, but we are not community engagement. The institution is community engagement.
Oh, the way you put that the institution is. But let's talk about Jag Pulse for a little bit. So for students especially who may be unfamiliar with Jag Pulse, do you mind just kind of giving a brief overview of what it is?
Sure, absolutely. Jag Pulse is AU's community engagement platform. So it's a platform where students can actually search for different service and volunteer opportunities in the area, and they can actually look up current opportunities, ongoing opportunities. They can even look up specific organizations they may have a passion for or an interest in, whether it's organizations that support food insecurity, like we've talked about, or animal shelters, or domestic violence, different things like that. So it's a really great area for them to see and look for ways that they can, volunteer their time at these different organizations with our different community partners. And then what's really great about Jag Pulse is that it's kind of a one-stop shop. You can register for these opportunities, and then you can log your impact, log your hours, and then each semester you can actually print a service transcript, and it'll total the summary of your hours, and then you can kind of take that with you as you move along in your different career courses, or just, after college, you can take that transcript with you.
I think that's really cool because a lot of times when students do log those hours, or I want to say maybe before Jag Pulse, they may say like, oh yeah, I did all this work, but they don't have that like proof or those receipts, but the transcript does help provide that.
Exactly.
Right. I think old school, you used to have to go back and send emails to the people that you volunteered with. It was like, especially with, volunteer management with me, I would get a ton of emails. I did 12 hours. Can you write me a letter? I did 10 hours. And so that is a great feature in Jag Pulse. I think it's the least used feature. So we're hoping that the students, that we're able to increase the awareness and then they see the importance before senior year. I think that's the hard part too, but it's something that you can watch grow over your time here at AU.
Yeah, I love that because like you said, you can track so many different hours, but also for different organizations and different types of, I guess, opportunities you can find as well.
Exactly. And really, it's a great way for us to kind of gauge what the students are interested in, where they're volunteering. We can share that with our community partners. We can also share that with different student organizations and kind of show, where they're growing, where they're areas that they're impacting. So it's a really great tool for tracking that as well.
Are there any big insights that you found out recently that kind of surprised you that our students are, I guess, engaging with?
I'm trying to think.
I wouldn't say it was a surprise. I think our top one is always healthcare.
Yeah.
Of course.
So I don't think that is a surprise from the feedback that we get from the platform. However, with it being new, I think that we're missing a lot of information because people either aren't logging their service, because you have a lot of people that volunteer just because it's something they've been doing forever. It's their way of getting connected in the community. And then we may mention Jag Pulse and some students like, yeah, I heard it. What is it again? So I think that we would find, a few hidden gems and surprises here and there, maybe over the next 2 years or so, as we increase the utilization of the platform. We have to use it to be able to capture and know what our students are interested in.
Because faculty and staff can use it as well, right?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. And I mean, I will say when we do push or promote or, recently we were trying to capture hurricane relief efforts. And I mean, as soon as we sent out that communication, we instantly had people log those hours. So it's just kind of that constant reminder, like, hey, there's this tool, you should use it. So it's just kind of staying relevant and getting them to use that tool.
But people were here and they were volunteering. They just didn't think to go, I need to log my service into Jag Pulse. But as soon as we created it and sent it, it was like overnight. You were like, we have a lot of hours for hurricane relief. So it was nice.
Well, that's really cool to see that people kind of picked on it quickly when you did send it out. And I guess like faculty, because we talked before that faculty can even kind of incorporate community engagement into their curriculum. Do you mind talking a little bit about that, Amanda?
Absolutely. I mean, we have a lot of professors and faculty that already do incorporate service learning and community engaged work into their curriculum. So, that's just having the certain verbiage in the syllabus and making sure we always want to have some sort of reflection or project associated with that community engaged opportunity. So, as we've been digging into Carnegie, which is our community engagement designation that we're working towards getting, I got to connect with a lot of community partners and campus partners, and they're doing a lot of great work. So, for instance, we just heard about kinesiology department. They're working with our Columbia County Fire and Rescue, and they've come up with a program to kind of improve their physical and mental and different I'm blanking, I'm sorry, physical training and assessment and things like that. So there's a lot of great work being done. College of Nursing, they work with Gap Ministries. They did a project about bike safety, and it was really relevant to the clients that use Gap Ministries. So yes, faculty is doing a lot of great work, and we're just trying to make sure we're connecting with faculty to understand the work they're doing with community partners and how they're incorporating it into their curriculum. That's
really cool because for me, that's not something that you would naturally think of, that, faculty, I guess, helping bridge that gap.
Right.
But they are. Are there any other ways that you think people could utilize Jag Pulse in a way that they haven't been? Or are there any other features that you want to say are like a best kept secret, but not really, I guess?
I think logging service is great. And Amanda mentioned with our service learning opportunities, you could do a reflection, but it doesn't have to be a service learning opportunity. So I look at some of them like Google reviews. When you look at some of the events, and it's good because, it's a partnership. Right. So whether it's someone on campus hosting an event or whether it's a community partner that's like, I needed 8 million volunteers and they needed 2 volunteers.
Oh, wow.
So then you give that feedback, because service is still your time. And we know that's something that you cannot get back. Right. So one of the cool things about the reflection, you can read some of them and they're so heartwarming. Right. Is everything went well. They were so welcoming. I'm definitely going back. So as you are shopping, because that's how I look at it, Jag Pulse, as you're scrolling, as you're shopping, it's great to see the feedback because you want to select a community partner or a service event that's going to be welcoming. You know that your time is going to be valued and appreciated. So yes, and best believe they let us know the good, the bad, and the ugly. But we need that sometimes. We need that accountability on both ends. So you can also leave a reflection.
So when reading those reflections and getting that feedback from participants, are there any other memorable moments or projects that really stood out to you?
We've hosted a few. I don't read all the reflections unless it's one that I'm hosting because then I want to know, lessons learned. I want to know what we can do better and things like that. So we were supporting the move-in when students had to go in multiple locations. And so reading, I think that we were expecting students to be very unhappy and frustrated and irritated. And the volunteers, you could tell that they may have been on edge, like just waiting for that to happen. But those were some of the best reviews. The students were so appreciative. They enjoyed engaging with the parents, and they really enjoyed when the grandparents came. To be able to have the grandparents come and just watch their babies. I know they're not babies, but watch their babies move in. I think those were some of the best reflections to just read because we were all like, and it was like, oh.
You had to pivot quickly.
Right. So it went well, but sometimes I do scroll to be nosy, and there's some great reflections in there, but I always read the ones that we oversee.
And for those watching this who may say like, oh, I want to be a community partner, or I have ideas that, I could certainly get help with, for whether it's a student or faculty members, like, what would you say to those folks who are wanting to get on Jag Pulse or want to reach out to you guys?
Bring it on.
Yeah, bring it. Come on.
Please do.
No, we welcome that. We absolutely welcome that. That's what we're here for. We're here to kind of, like we said, bridge that gap. We want to make those connections. We want to help brainstorm, come up with ideas. And, understand your project and your goals, and then therefore we can try to direct you to the right community partner if it's a student or faculty member, or if it's a community partner, understanding what their needs are so we can try to help them come up with what the volunteer opportunity looks like and how can we best promote it and so forth. Just to try to be very intentional with everyone's time and energy and goals. Again, just really it's all about understanding the goals of each person, whether, like I said, whether it's a community partner or a student or faculty member. But yeah, come on, please reach out to us. You can email us at community@augusta.edu or call me anytime during business hours.
I was going to say anytime.
During business hours. No, I'm just kidding. But yes, we want those people to reach out to us. So.
And last question before I let you guys go. For those who may say like, oh, I love the work that they're doing and maybe I want to be enrolled like you guys have, what would you say to those students or folks who maybe want to make the transition into the work in the field that you guys work in?
I mean, I think it's just important to, you got to be able to pivot and be flexible and be forward thinking. But I think just having that desire to connect with students and community and really just understanding what that means and really understanding the definition and how it aligns with our mission as an institution. If that's something you're passionate about, look into doing some more community engaged work and just kind of getting a better understanding of kind of what that looks like. I guess that's kind of what I would say.
No, I agree. I think that for our role is wide. So it's not for like a specific major or you must follow this pathway. It's more of just what are you interested in? What tugs at you? It's very rewarding, but you do have to be flexible. Very flexible, very understanding. I think a lot of it is high energy when we're out and also when we're in the office. I used to play around all the time and people think that, volunteer management or coordinating, all we do is like go out and pass sunshine and roses. Like just sprinkle it everywhere, just a ball of joy, That's how some people view it, but we really do help people. We're available, conversation, engagement, and you want to always leave something better than when you arrive. And that is the goal. And heavy logistics.
Yeah.
Oh.
Heavy logistics.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Putting all the pieces together. But it's worth it. It's worth the energy.
Okay.
Well, thank y'all so much for coming to chat with me. For everyone that is watching, please go check out Jag Pulse, learn more about it, and of course, contact these guys to learn more.
Thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
You're invited to attend the 2025 MLK Tri-College Celebration. The event will be held at the Grover C. Maxwell Performing Arts Theater on Augusta University's Summerville campus from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. on Friday, January 17, 2025. The 2025 theme is Cultivating King's Beloved Community.
This year, we're inviting the greater Augusta community to join Augusta University, Payne College, and Augusta Technical College to celebrate the memory of Dr. King. Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Creative Impressions, and students from the Jesse Norman School of the Arts will offer performances, and the Reverend Dr. Charles E. Goodman Jr. from the historic Tabernacle Baptist Church will close the program with the keynote address.
We sincerely hope that you will join us as we honor Dr. King's legacy and strive to continue the vital work of growing his beloved community.
Madden, thanks for being here. Welcome to In the Wild. I guess just diving right in, tell us a little bit about the Mars Project and how it got started.
Yeah, so I've been a student here at Augusta University, it's going on my third year, and came here wanting to get into medicine in some way, shape, or form for a lot of more or less ignorant reasons. Didn't know a lot about science and just knew I wanted to help in some way, shape, or form with my community, and ended up coming here and finding even more reasons for why I loved it, and the biggest reason for that was an engagement in our community. And there's a lot of medicine that is hard to get to through insurance, but there's also a lot of medicine that is built up because of that community engagement, allowing people who might not have access to healthcare to get that healthcare. And through experiences of meeting those people, I realized how hard or how prevalent homelessness is, especially in Augusta. I came from the north suburbs of Atlanta, and isn't exactly a huge problem, so it wasn't something I was or something I saw as a kid, and realized that this is a huge issue. Like, why aren't we doing anything about it? And I realized we are, and that's the crazy part, is that we do so much and it's still so prevalent. And trying to figure out how I could be involved, or how can someone like a college kid just be helpful and push this problem a little farther down the drain. And I realized a lot of that was just the lack of information. And there are so many people, and organizations doing such good work and putting a lot of time into so many different things to make their lives better, but they just never hear about them. So it's almost like they don't even exist. So we wanted to do something where we could just make that more publicly accessible. That started with me going up to a friend and saying, "Hey, I want to do this. Do you want to help me?" And he absolutely said yes, man. And so we spent all summer. We both worked in our orientation team. And at 4 p.m. when the day ended, we took all the extra food donated through AU's orientation office, and we brought it out to Central Avenue, and we just handed it out. Went down Broad Street, and tried to feed as many people as we could. And then through that, we ended up meeting a lot of different people in the Salvation Army and a bunch of other organizations, and we're able to come up with a pretty comprehensive list of other things that are trying to help the same population that we are. And so we have a website out now that is completely comprehensive of all of the organizations that we know of in the area, that could be homelessness and housing, food, childcare, transportation, employment for homeless people, employment for felons, employment for anything you could possibly think of. And if it's being served in the area, we wanted it to be available for someone just to have. And then hopefully pushing more to the student side of wanting to have AU students help and be a part of that same change that we're trying to bring. So we'll have a club starting this semester. As of the fall, it was in the works, and so hopefully we'll have a way to have a large student body to engage in this problem.
I think it's awesome that you saw a need and just had to jump in and start to fill that need.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like to start to get the pieces together of educating yourself on all the opportunities that were available and putting that on a website and getting the support that you need? Like, what was that process like?
I think a lot of it comes from a little bit of, you need to have a little ignorant bliss of maybe not understanding how hard a challenge is sometimes is the best thing you need to start. I think if I were to make a list of everything that I've had to do to get me from where I was in June to where I am now, I probably would have been very discouraged. But riding high on that passion of wanting to start this and not really know what direction it's going to go in. At first, I just wanted to provide food for people in the street. But I realized at a student level, it was just going to be pretty much impossible for us to pretty much have a soup kitchen, which isn't really realistic. But I knew that if I can basically provide that food service, I can at least provide the answer to where you need to go. So we started out, we just had a binder of a bunch of different resources we knew about using the internet, and went out and we heard stories about people who just needed help and just started from a conversation of a sandwich. That's something in the last year or 6 months I've been able to grow so deeply in, is learning that just because you pass someone doesn't mean that they're there because they want to be there, or that they haven't tried countlessly to get out of their situation. And maybe that simple solution is just at the end of a conversation that they need. And I want to be able to provide that for the rest of the student body because it really is a fulfilling experience.
Are there any stories just interacting with those who you've helped that just really stood out to you?
I would say there are a lot. Probably the biggest one that I think, because you think you go through imposter syndrome, okay, well maybe this isn't as big of a problem as I thought it was at the beginning, or there's already so many people so many people already helping. How would I help? And I was probably a couple of weeks in, and we had gone out with some food, and we had met this couple who was walking on the side of the road, this woman was pushing a man in a wheelchair. We just stopped and gave him a couple sandwiches, and they said, "Thank goodness we saw you. We haven't eaten in days." And this is right next to the Salvation Army, that they provide food countlessly, and that woke me up to realize that there are so many people out here with all these resources that we still need to keep pouring into this cup. And I think a lot of people felt the same way I did. Wow, there's already some people doing this. What is my help going to do? Your help's going to do everything for anybody. And they were just a normal family. They told us that they had, the man had gotten in a car accident 6 years prior. And he was on retirement and never gotten a payment for his medical bills. They had taken out a loan. They lost their mortgage. and now they have to live under a bridge because they lost everything. And then it really showed me how close people actually are to being homeless. And sometimes that wall is paper thin, and the wall to get back is bricks. And that woke me up like, wow, we need to keep doing this. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
What has the response been like from the AU community in supporting the Mars project?
It has been unfathomably supportive. I didn't expect people to obviously say don't do that. Like that's our community is too strong to want to do that. But I didn't realize how many people would have the same initiative or want to be involved. And I think a lot of people want to help, and they want to help their communities in any way, shape, or form if they're asked of. They just don't know how. And so I think when people are given the outlet to do that work, they're chomping at the bit because they want to do it, and not because they feel like they have to or because they feel like they need to put something on a resume, but because they feel called to. And sometimes you have a calling that you feel like you can't apply to anything, and you just have to leave it alone. But once you give that passion a spark, and you have a way to use that passion for good, it has been unwavering, with students and faculty donating, buying merchandise, telling me about things that they know about that we had never heard about that could also help a family. We had learned a couple weeks ago that there's an orthodontist in town that has essentially a van that does dental work out of for people who are on the street without insurance. No questions asked. I had never heard of that before. He's been doing it a lot longer than I've been here. So you never know what you don't know until someone brings it up to you. So it has been amazing. So starting this club, I'm hoping to have a little more of an application to have a large student body participate in this project.
Yeah, it also makes me think of how supportive and how Jag Nation just came together during Hurricane Helene.
Absolutely.
Because that was definitely a crazy time for everybody, but seeing how so many leaders on campus, because I got to experience that firsthand, of like folks coming to meet and figure out how we're going to reopen campus and how can we make sure to support our students and employees during this time where folks don't have water, power, internet, which was crazy. And also campus cleanup, because campus was
a mess.
Looked very differently than it should. So that makes me think of that as well as like when called upon, like as a university, we definitely support each other and kind of come together.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any misconceptions for what people may think someone who is experiencing homelessness might need?
I think a lot of times it's things like you said, you never think about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course they're hungry, of course they need water, and that's a given, and they need that provided to them. But the biggest cause I've seen for the problem of getting out of homelessness is not having an ID. Little things you would never think of. You can't get letters mailed to you. So even if you're on welfare or you have some aid, it's never going to get to you because you can't prove who you are and you have nowhere to send it. And then reliable transportation, that is a really hard one, and I think that's more of a city discussion. I've talked with the sheriff about potential of bus passes that they have, that they give out every now and then for people to do that, because a lot of it is, if you can't prove who you are, how are you going to get a job? And even if you do get blessed with getting that job, how are you going to get there? And those are the two huge issues. Like, of course, there's more than enough room to get in line to get into a shelter, but that shelter is just going to be a recurring thing that you might get into, might get out of, if you have no way to advance your situation. So the biggest thing I'd say, outside of bare need survival, is you can't prove who you are. There's no way to get out of what you have been, and that could be they've lost it, could have been stolen, they could have been through a bad situation, they were forced to leave and just forgot it. But those small things like your social security number and all those you never realize how important they are till you lose it.
Right, and which that's something that I've never thought of when it comes to that population of folks. Of if you're applying for a certain welfare program like you mentioned, and you don't have an ID or you don't have an address,
Right.
how do they? Yeah, if you don't have a cell phone, how do you handle those follow up meetings and conversations? Yeah,
And how do you hear about any of this if you don't have internet?
yeah,
And a lot of them are kicked out of libraries if they're there too long, and they're not put on a list, but they're pretty much aggressively uninvited to be there, rightfully so or not. I heard one time that you have about 48 hours to figure out what you're gonna do, or you're gonna be pretty much stuck. Just because if you don't have that access to a lot of normal things will be taken away.
So how do you balance this project, which is very important to our community, but also being a student, and you're also involved in a couple of different things on campus? Like, how do you balance all of that?
I think, and I get that all the time. Just how do you do it? Like, there's got to be a secret to something that you're doing that I'm not. And I wish that was the answer, and I think the answer is almost harder to explain. I feel so empowered and what's the word I'm looking for? I feel so empowered and inspired by my coursework that it never feels stressful.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe like during finals or I have a test coming up, I'm gonna feel stressed out. But I think if you love what you do and the reason why you're here, you should be interested in a lot of the coursework, or at least find a way to figure out how this translates to what I want to do and why it's impactful and why I enjoy it. And even when I am stressed, the community involvement that I have refills that cup. And I think that's, for better or worse, I don't think I can get burnt out from what I do, because I feel so fulfilled by it, and watching that cup, because you have to figure out where your line is. It never has a line. Some lines are higher, some lines are lower, and that's okay. But I think finding my line by being in school and trying something and realize I can go a little further, and then maybe take on another obligation, and then bouncing back a little bit. Okay, that was a little much. Let me not commit to this again and stick to my things, and realizing why you're in a thing and why you're passionate about it, because the passion is going to keep you going. If you're in a club that you don't enjoy, you don't feel entirely obligated of why you even want to be there in the first place, wanting to dig deeper into that and be impactful in that's just not going to be as easy. So figuring out what you want to do, why you want to do it, and then finding some way to apply that thing, if that's a fraternity or a club or a nonprofit organization or a research lab, you'll be so much more excited and willing to put in extra hours that you wouldn't have before, just because you like it so much. And I think it's just finding that balance of, these are the things I like and this is why I keep doing them, sets almost normalcy in being busy.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree that being involved in the things, like you said, that fulfill you, that you're passionate about, will definitely keep you from being burnt out and can keep you going. What would you say to students who are wanting to get involved with the Mars Project and giving you some support?
First of all, thank you. I really didn't know. I brought this to my dad in May, and I said, Dad, I met this guy on the street, and what he asked for was not outside of the realm of what I could do. I think I want to do something like this. And him just saying, you got it, but don't let it affect anything else in life, as a good parent would say, was just the first push I needed. And I feel like ever since then, even if I have something I have to do, like I should write 10 pages of bylaws for starting that club, it's all worth it just because of people's appreciation and wanting to get involved. It's hard to figure out how to get 50, 100 people who want to be involved in service into a very small thing. It started with 4 of us in a car, in a box of food, with just a dream of wanting to help other people. So figuring out how to scale that has been a challenge, but we're in the works with that. But this is a student organization on top of a nonprofit. So lean into that. We want their feedback. We want ideas. Because if we don't know what that looks like, who knows if someone has just a perfect idea who's just right around the corner. So, I don't know how to finish the rest of that question.
You're fine. And I guess just looking ahead, like, what would you say would be like your ultimate goals for your organization, and how do you hope that it continues to grow?
I think we found a weird niche that I don't think myself 6 months ago we ever saw the need for information, especially information that's accessible to people. Like I said, if you don't have internet or an ID or an address, how do you get anything? And so it seems almost counterintuitive that I say I'm making a website. But that's the whole goal that we're trying to push on the students is wanting to be engaged out in Augusta, providing, if it's a QR code or if it's physical printouts of everything, and almost trialing how helpful is this. Because a lot of people have social workers, maybe the social workers have things I've never heard of. But it could be that, I no one's helped me, and I just spending a minute on a website that just has emails and phone numbers and websites that I could go to that's going to at least solve my problem, even if I can't solve it, I think is going to be the biggest goal, because that's the biggest thing of how I can, or answer I've heard from someone of how can I help you is I just need a job. I don't need all of this other help. They want to be self-sufficient. And I think that's a big place where people get misconstrued is they're not just trying to take from other people. A lot of them want to be independent, they just can't.
Right.
And so their first goal is to figure out how can I do this on my own. They want your help, but they don't want to lean on your help as much as they have to. So providing some place where they can be empowered to look, I think will be good for the student body to be engaged in that, but also for the rest of the community to feel like there is a place to find answers no matter what. If I lose my job, or if I'm running low on grocery money this week, I can just come to this website and maybe they can't answer my question, but they know someone who does. And I think that's the ultimate goal, and hopefully spreading that, because this is just the Augusta area. Homelessness is a worldwide problem. I'm not saying we're going to be able to solve homelessness, and I think it's important to be grounded in that. But maybe expanding, maybe that becomes North Augusta, and trying to make something in that district and moving toward Atlanta, or maybe even offering another chapter to students at a different university that want to pursue that same goal for other homeless people in their area, because it's definitely not an Augusta problem, or Augusta only problem.
Yeah, I love that, and I could definitely see, different chapters for different universities like you mentioned. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think that's a great goal. Thank you so much for chatting with me.
Yeah,
absolutely. Hope everyone watching can check out the Mars Project, share the awareness, support Madden and all the other students who are involved.
Thank you so much.
All right, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I certainly did. So if you haven't already, go check out Jag Pulse. Jag Pulse, it should be the first thing you think of when you're thinking about getting involved in the community. So you can learn about all the service projects like we mentioned before. If you want to create some of those, you know who to talk to now. And of course, just really special shout out to Madden and the Mars Project, because I think that's a really cool organization, and just hearing the stories and the impact that they're having just is really inspiring. So I hope that you all can take what you need from this episode and add on to it, add on to the community engagement that we are very proud for at the university. And if you like this episode, don't forget, like, subscribe, do all the things. Let us know what you enjoyed about this episode, and let's keep the conversation going on our social media. So at In the Wild Pod, follow us. Let us know what you think about that episode. And until then, I will see you guys in the next one. Go Jags!